Well, I actually don't have a lot of time today. I was going to do something, and then one thing led to another. And so I actually have to rush out for a meeting. Hey, Dustin, nice to see you. So I don't have a lot of time to talk on my live today, so I apologize for that. I was going to read more from the book. Oops, I actually did already title it, and then I didn't get to do it. So, all right. Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to read a little bit from the book, and you know what? That's going to be a pain. I'm just going to delete that title later on the Facebook. I apologize for that. Sometimes best laid plans go awry, but I saw a post actually on Instagram from a friend of mine just before I went live, and it was about the two-party system and how our founders were very afraid that what has happened today would happen. And that is, John Adams talks about it, about how his greatest fear is that there would be have a two-party system. And that's what we have today. And why is that such an issue? The issue is that um, it basically keeps the people from having as much of a voice in their own governance, because whatever the parties decide is the agenda, that's what the agenda is. And the parties are not run by the people. They're not run by the American population. They're run by a very small group of people at the top of those parties. And so you have these two agendas that the rest of the population can't really have any voice in or say in. And that's the way it is in the UK. In the UK. And so our founders were really trying to get away from that. They were trying to avoid that issue that they have in the UK, where one party, if they're in power, can just overrun everything else. And it's very hard for other voices to be heard, like independents. It's almost impossible to get elected. And so that's a huge issue we face in our country. And it has been an issue for a long time. I think that just now we see more how scary it is. And we have seen that for like the last, I don't know, 8, 10 years. So what is the solution there? And how do we fix that? I'd love to hear from you guys to see if you guys have really thought much about this, or have much in the way of solutions. There's people who've written some fantastic books on it. But one of the issues is also, direct voting and even fixing our voting issues. Hey, Mike, nice to see you. Even fixing our voting issues. I was reading a book about how just vast numbers of our voting machines, booths, tools, etc., are far outdated, are broken, don't work properly, and they've never been replaced. And the systems that they use are very faulty. And this is true. This is not a new thing. This was not like from last election or this election. This has been going on for, a very long time, decade or 2 decades. And people have been bringing this up, that this is an issue. And it just hasn't been a priority for people. And what I find is that when people are in power and they're used to a particular system of things, a running system a certain way, they like to use the inefficiencies in the system for their own advantage because they're running it, right? That's their way. So to bring in a system that is clean and without corruption and has no variability, I guess you could say, that's not in their best interest. So they're going to resist it. And that's what we've seen with our voting booths and techniques for decades now. This is not a new thing. But this also comes down to just the entire system of the two-party system and the issues that we have with that, keeping out any real voice that a lot of Americans can have, people who are not fully committed to either agenda. Like, the concept of independence, right? That is very hard to it's pretty much impossible for them to get voted in, even if they have huge support. So keep yourself informed about this issue. This was something that I started to become more aware of, not in this last election, but before that. And I began to realize how much like gerrymandering and creating different, cutting up the map and voting circles and all types of stuff like that that goes on keeps people from having a real voice in their elections because it makes sure that certain sections are Republican and certain sections are Democratic. And so it's not uh, allowing, right? So that means that the people who are voting in those places who might be voting for something different, they basically have no voice. That's what happens. Effectively, they have no voice. So instead of tallying everything together, those individuals basically have no voice. And that destroys the integrity of the system. So, anyway, just a little bit about that today. Definitely something to look into and to research for yourself. It'll be very interesting for you. Okay. You guys have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow. Sorry it's so short today, but we'll talk more tomorrow.